Now, he's Donald Trump's man in Europe. And today, Andrew Puzder, the US ambassador to the European Union, was in Dublin to discuss priorities ahead of Ireland's EU presidency, which starts in July. Earlier, he joined us from the US ambassador's residence in the Phoenix Park, and I asked him what the key issues are for the US in its relationship with Europe.
I think one of the key areas would be what we call deregulation, what you guys call simplification. I've had conversation with the Irish ambassador to the EU, and I know that simplification is going to be on the agenda. And there are some regulations that I think we the United States would like to see simplified or eliminated, and I think Ireland has similar interests.
I know that the US has spoken about deregulation in the area of AI as well. I wonder, however, is there a risk with that? We've seen warnings in terms of the potential impact of deregulating AI, engineered pandemics, disinformation, mass unemployment. I know there's potential with AI, but there's also a lot of risks.
There are risks, but I would say let's start with one overarching risk is that the West, led by the United States, loses this AI race with China. China's not going to care about the risks you just mentioned. They're going to be moving ahead full steam because whoever wins the AI race, whoever gets to super AI intelligence first is going to control the economy, the military, they're going to control culture. And so we need to make sure that we don't regulate ourselves so much that we're unable to stay ahead of the Chinese in this race. There are ways to do that. For example, be careful about regulating innovation. Maybe regulate the products, but not the innovation.
And I'm sorry to cut across you, Ambassador, but doesn't somebody have to keep an eye on those risks? The risks that I mentioned there, engineered pandemics, disinformation, mass unemployment, these are potentially catastrophic events.
Yeah, they're catastrophic and somewhat overstated. But I do think what you can do is focus on not regulating innovation, not preventing innovation. I'm actually paraphrasing the CEO of Minstrel, which is a large AI company here in Europe, who said, look, don't regulate the innovators, don't prevent innovation. But for example, if they come up with products in the medical field, regulate the products, but don't regulate the creative process that leads to new products. And try and keep it safe by regulating the results, not regulating the process, because if you regulate the process, we are not going to be ahead in this AI race. So we need to be very careful how and what we regulate.
I know you've criticised Europe in the past over its competitiveness and its growth. Surely the argument could be made that the country that has done the most damage to Europe's growth potential over the coming months is the United States by launching this war in Iran, which shows no signs of ending.
So I think you need to take a look at the war in Iran in a little broader perspective. This was a preemptive move by the President of the United States to eliminate the potential for Iran to have a nuclear weapon. And I think it's certainly a better result to take some economic distress at the moment than for a nuclear weapon on a ballistic missile to head to Dublin or Rome or Cyprus or some other country that Iran decides to go after because they're unhappy with the results they're getting in their particular area of the world. So I think there are balances here that need to be made. None of that means that Europe shouldn't try and generate greater economic growth and prosperity for the people of Europe, but we do have to make moves that sometimes may impact the ability of Europe to grow and to prosper as we would like to see it grow and prosper. Look, it's in the best interest of the United States.
Sorry, Ambassador,
the IMF Europe.
The IMF has warned that this war has the potential to push the world into a global recession.
Well, that's the IMF. I don't think we're going to end up with a global recession. I think we're going to end up with a safer, more prosperous, better world. I think we're going to end up with a world where the Strait of Hormuz doesn't hold the world hostage anymore. We're going to end up with a world where Iran is not threatening, either through its proxies or on its own, different countries, not only throughout the Middle East, but as they clearly were developing a ballistic missile, countries as far away as Europe. So there's a balance here. You can take IMF at its word, or you can listen to what the United States has to say. President Trump said he believes this war will end soon. I have no reason to doubt him.
How would you characterize the state of US-Europe relations at the moment, given the criticism of President Trump in terms of what he views as a lack of cooperation with European countries during this war?
I think there's great disappointment in the United States with NATO not allowing the U.S. to use the air bases that it has located in Europe to defend Europe, that it's invested billions, if not trillions of dollars in, or to allow planes to fly over airspace that we freed in 2 world wars and have defended against the Soviets. I think there's great disappointment in the U.S. with that, but I think these things can be overcome. These are issues between friends. We're inextricably intertwined, the United States and Europe, and I think eventually we'll work these issues out. But right now, there's a readjustment of the relationship between the United States and Europe, and I think the war in Iran and NATO's reaction to that war are one of the factors that will determine how that relationship goes.
And will that impact Ukraine? Has the US president taken his focus off Ukraine during this Iran war?
I think the president continues to do everything he can to bring about peace in Ukraine. He's been very, very open about the fact that this is a war that he finds very frustrating because he thought that he could end it sooner, and he thinks that he can get it ended if both parties, if Ukraine and Russia, act in good faith. And he's doing everything he can to bring about a positive result.
Over the past number of weeks, the US president has insulted a number of European leaders. He's insulted the Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, the French president and his wife. He's insulted the British Prime Minister. He's also insulted the Pope. I wonder, you must have one of the hardest jobs, Ambassador, trying to maintain diplomatic relations between the United States and Europe at this time.
I think the relationship between the United States and Europe continues to go in a positive direction. We just got the trade agreement between the European Union and the United States approved by the Parliament. We got the critical minerals deal that we're moving forward with. We have the Pax Silica, which tries to bring the AI economy into our bring along our allies into the AI economy through Pax Silica. I think all of those things are going very smoothly. The president has made comments in frustration with the way some of our allies have reacted to his decision to prevent Iran from having a tactical nuclear weapon or ballistic missiles. And look, some of the criticisms that he voiced were very solid criticisms.
US Ambassador to the European Union, Andrew Puzder, thanks indeed for joining us on 6-1.
Thank you.